Be calling you a radical, so the hottest temperature in the history of the world is recorded today. Death Valley. Today. So when you Wikipedia and it shows you that thing from this exact day in July 1913, it's a total lie. That was completely debunked. They broke the record from last year. So here in Ogden, Utah, so back tide pool jumping. So I finally found a healthy tide pool here. The greatest marine biologist probably in the history of the world, in the high desert of Utah, born and raised in Ogden, Utah, San Diego, California, Monterey, Olympics in the training. I'll be back to the 22nd. So I finally found the best tide pool, the only healthy tide pool left on the Pacific Ocean. Here it is. How about the bull kelp? How nice. Even a non-poached freaking octopus. 3 brains, you know, they have. So I finally found the last healthy tide pool in California, in the high desert of Utah, where the muckmucks or the imperialists are all at Sun Valley, Idaho, checking on their SMRs. So the New York Times is using, this is important, American can. The New York Times is using Kevin Blanch's theology now, their terminology. Everybody's using it. They're calling it the heat dome. Kevin Blanch named it the heat bubble in 2011 on March 12th. These are full-blown out meltdowns. They're lying. This is they're going to push this nuclear disaster into the Pacific Ocean. It's going to cause a heat bubble over the western United States. And this drought, it's going to cause the greatest, most historic drought in world history in the western United States. The Great Salt Lake is going to go. My spiral jetty videos prove how healthy the lake was. Perfect levels in 2012. So they're going to lie. These are full-blown out meltdowns. It's going to push into the ocean. It's going to wipe out the tide pools. In 2016 on Q, the salmon will be fine till 2016. Chinook, they will collapse in 2016. This is important because they're in Idaho right now, right there by the SMRs, Idaho National Lab. That's where the steelhead are spawn. This catastrophe that's going on in the Columbia River right now, you can look it up. I mean, they are at 30% for the year of the 10-year mean. You know how bad the 10-year mean is? Because we've had 5 years now of, well, 10. These are steelhead. They started to collect steelhead, trout, salmon, or one of the same. They go to sea. They started to move down in 2012 immediately. And then, of course, Chinook in 2016 collapsed. These numbers are so pathetically low. It's July. It's steelhead season in July. So they're using Kevin Blanch's terminology now. I mean, what is he, Nostradamus on Balco? Or he just understands the implications of full-blown out nuclear meltdowns. When you have a 9-point earthquake, this town built these reactors. Floor Construction, GE, Utah Construction. I wrote papers in the 80s and the 90s that a shake would crack these cores altogether. They cannot withstand anything over a 7.5. It's a fucking 9. I knew the second it happened. I'm like, whoa. I was in the Energy Solutions dump site protesting Mike Lee, whose dad died young of cancer, bringing the Italian waste here. When it happened, I got home and I saw it, and I'm like, oh, I just heard on TV that it was a 9. I'm like, no, this is a 9. And then I saw the live cam. I'm like, oh no. So talk about digital art being worth money. That original video I did should be billions. Probably the most famous video in history. They're lying. These are full blown out nuclear meltdown. Gundershill was in my site the first day, Arnie, arguing with me. And telling me, oh, they're hydrogen blasts. He was for days. I finally kicked. Chris Busby threatened me when I was in the bone. It's going to give you cancer. It's going to give you cancer. I got cancer. Went in the bone marrow transplant on 11/11/11. It's going to wipe out the tide pools immediately. Everybody laughed at me until I walked the whole coast of California. Proved to you. They've collapsed 99%. Unarguable facts. The salmon, the steelhead will start to collapse in 2012, which they did. They're on the verge of extinction, still fishing. The Chinook will go, but we don't count dead tide pools, Kevin Blanch says. We don't count dead humans in bone marrow transplant, Kevin Blanch says. Cancer rates up over 40% in North America. Post everything I've said to a fine science. It's going to cause a heat bubble over the western United States. It's going to cause the Great Salt Lake to go dry. How many times have I said it on the site? Millions. The Great Salt Lake was at perfect levels in 2012. My spiral view. Talk about a digital fucking art form that's worth millions. What a fucking legacy. How the fuck they get away with putting fake stucco on the fucking old Star noodle? It's on the National West. I did restoration on every one of these buildings. Just the whole fucking place is corrupt. So, at the Blood Hotel. So I found the last healthy one. Should we walk over there and look at it one more time? So the hottest temperature in the history of the world recorded today. Oh, why Wikipedia said that 134 was totally debunked. That was totally debunked. That rating's false, like most stuff on Wikipedia. So today broke record from last year. We'll probably break the record here. And so, where'd you sleep last night? Don't you fucking lie to me. 25 Drive, 2-Bit Street, Little Chicago. I slept in the dead fucking pines with the sun from Fukushima, Japan. Oh, it always fucking shines. The marine biologist, the most famous one in world history, in the high desert of Utah. Maybe we go to Great Salt Lake's the lowest it's been in tens of millions of years. Tens of millions of years. Tens of millions. Lake Bonneville. Here they are, the last healthy tide pool. What a beautiful piece of art. Fucking last fucking healthy starfish. Wow. Finnegan found some in Oregon. Very few. Back in Monterey the 22nd. I'll have the pair of 11s who were born that month, March 2011, with me. The apprentices. Can you believe they're 10 years old? What a country we handed them, right? How about the American can? The can was invented here in Ogden, Utah. Everybody's always asked me about the can. Oh, come on, it's a metaphor for overconsumption. You dropped your fucking... Oh, I gotta show you this. I found it in the thrift store today. Fuck, eat your heart out, all you fucking thrift store collectors. Wait till you see this. Oh, yeah. Wait till you see this. I knew Hot Rod personally, by the way. Fuck the Jazz. Go Suns. Here's, of course, I think the Bucks will win tonight. Of course, maybe I'm wrong. Greatest turnaround in sports history. In sports history. They surpassed the 1982-83 Utah Jazz, 83-84. Yeah, Phoenix beat them in the playoff second round. Phoenix Suns, the greatest turnaround in sports history. I was personal friends with Hot Rod. That's his handwriting. He was the greatest. 1991. Found that at the thrift store today. I says, you really don't want $5 for that. Yeah. Look. I remember when he was in Wendover and we were there New Year's Eve, he and I, Energy Solutions. I was hanging out with him. He got up on the stage. Fell off. There's the GOAT. You want to talk a fucking Utah Jazz GOAT? That's him. You're looking at him. He was the fucking greatest. Fastest of them all, Ricky Green. The cowhide globe hits fucking home from the parking lot. He coined so many fucking belt high fucking dribble, hippity hop, horny for three. Fuck, he had hundreds of them. Hundreds. But he's the fucking greatest. There's your GOAT. So the hottest temperature ever recorded in the history of the world today. It's gonna be 107 here on Monday. So I'll see you in Monterey, dead tide pool jumping, getting ready training for the Olympics. Fucking. Where's your fucking crown, Damon Lillard? Where's your fucking crown? Where's your crown, King James? Where's all your fucking crown? When your crown, King, nothing. Hope you don't get in the... I'm rooting for the Suns for one reason. The Jazz passed on Chris Paul. I remember 3 years ago when those fans... I was down there. Remember I shot those videos down there outside because I won't go in because I hate the Jazz? And those racist fans in Chris Paul's face and his brothers. This is a true story. I'm flying home from Italy. I'm in the New York City airport. Waiting for my flight to come to Salt Lake 2017. I see this kid and he's got a hoodie over and I look at him and what's a guy like you doing flying to fucking Salt Lake? And he took his hoodie off and I says, he's like, I drafted by the Jazz. It was Donovan Mitchell. I says, I used to watch him play in New York. I says, I didn't know you got drafted by the Jazz. I says, you know they're racist there. Hardcore racist. This is Electric Alley. And then I'll tell you a great story about Frank Robinson right there. Right there. I have hundreds of stories. I have hundreds of stories of Ogden. These dumb fuckers don't know anything about Ogden. I do. So, I'll tell the story about Lasorda first. So, Lasorda My friends are ball boys when they won the Pioneer League. Here, right here, John Athlete, they tore down. Dodgers, the Sortises. Go out in the back of my Cadillac in the trunk, and there's 15 bottles of champagne. Do you understand me? There's 15. Did you hear me? There's 15, not 16, 15. Bring them in here. I went out there, and there's, of course, 16. You wanted one of them to have them. So, Hot Rod, the Jazz. So, I have so many fucking good stories. So, I'm talking to Donovan Mitchell. As you remember in 2017, that was that year I was telling you. I said, remember this year when the Warriors swept the Jazz? And those fans were right up on the front row? In fact, that was Spencer Eccles, I think himself, from Ogden, was chirping in his face. Me and John Brown, I was just talking to him. He says, yeah, I do remember that. I says, in his face, and he scored the last 17 points and swept the Jazz. Donovan Mitchell, the Kevin Blanche 20. Go ask him, 2017. Don't feed the lion. Well, that's what do you think Donovan did, running his fucking mouth. I think it's a bulletproof vest. Nobody from Ogden. Black Lives Matter was started in Ogden by Kevin Blanche. Frank Robinson played here for the Ogden Reds. He's right there. Electric Alley. Annabelle. Said, guy he knows. He went into his restaurant. No one's ever said there was a table in that restaurant. And they actually called him the N-word. And he went to the owner. He was friends with the owner. The owner wouldn't do anything, wouldn't stand up. He refuses to come back. They want to induct him. You know, so... By the way, all you people in San Diego, Mitt Romney finally sold that piece of shit nightmare mansion in La Jolla. Remember when we used to protest there? Yeah. It's been a long journey, ain't it? So, the great Frank Layden, he's still alive. So the Jazz GOAT, Stephen A. Smith, you piece of big mouth shit, you don't know a fucking thing. I'll tell you who the Utah Jazz, well, the New Orleans Jazz, the GOAT. Fastest of them all was my favorite player, Ricky Green. The greatest turnaround in basketball history was the 1982-83 Frank Layden Utah Jazz 83-84. Ricky Green missed a layup to beat the Suns in the second round. I was at all those games. That was down in Phoenix. I wasn't at that one. The greatest turnaround in sport history. What a perfect metaphor. Suns, right? Suns. Kobe Bryant. Jelly Bean's still alive. The capitalistic world. Billionaire basketball players. What a metaphor. Kobe's money got him killed. So, I want to say this to King James, fucking Shaq, all you fuckers running your big fucking mouths. I don't say Bill Russell, the real GOAT, on his big mouth. He ain't a billionaire gazillion. Jeff Bezos, all those fuckers visiting their SMRs at Idaho National Lab. Where's your fucking crown? Hottest temperature in the history of the fucking state of Utah recorded today. Again. One last look. Don't drop your fucking crown. Don't drop your fucking crown. So they're having the Pioneer Days ceremony down at the Union Station. I just left. They're going to induct Desiree. You know, I used to teach with Desiree. She died of COVID this year. She was at Miss Rodeo. I'm going to induct one of the crosses. I think I'll go. I got invited. It's me and John Brown here in Blood, Utah. By the way, Peter Skinnog never set foot in this fucking town. The last healthy tide pool in California, in the high desert of Utah. The heat is on. Highest temperature in the history of the world ever. Oh, I read it on Wikipedia. That was 134. That was debunked long ago. Like 90% of stuff on Wikipedia, total bullshit. So, by the way, that street right there used to be called Brigham Young Street. Ryan, all you basketball guys, Byron Russell was born and raised on that street, which is Alan Hall, who won 2 national championships. Son. His mom says she was the meanest. Washington Jr. Oh God, I used to play against those guys. Not Byron, but Annabelle. So right behind here, we should walk back there. Where the Marriott is now, there used to be little booths when I was a little boy, like in Amsterdam, and Annabelle was the madam. And there were the prostitutes, the old prostitutes were still in those booths, the old prostitution right there in the booths. Annabelle was the madam. It's Byron Scott's grandma. Yep. Let me tell you one more great. That building right there, you can see it, the old Deseret Gym, that's Weber State Gym. Used to walk up there and won 2 national championships. The first player of color in the history of the NBA. Grew up right there. Right there. That was his house. His dad's a laundromat. What? Oh, he was Japanese, so they don't count. So we're not going to count him. Weber State spits in his face. 2 national championships because Weber State hates people of color. Well, they hate Japanese. And they hate women. If you don't think Weber State and Ogden hate women, Ogden hates women harder than anybody. Caldwell's, and he's, I know Caldwell's wife's Asian. I was in the bone marrow transplant center with his mother-in-law. He's a piece of shit. I'll tell you how bad they hate women here. They don't even know who she is. One word. Fawn McKay Brody. The GOAT. Frank Layden. 3 seconds. Remember when Adrian Dantley used to do that thing with the ball and he would spin it? And he would talk and everybody around here was trying to lip sync what he said. And Hot Rod, that's when Hot Rod coined the cowhide globe hits home. He had this whole rant he'd go through. He's a genius. Oh God, here we go. Those fucking things. So I have so many stories here, but Ogden don't give any of us locals a platform. They hate us all. By the way, the fresco they painted right around the corner, I did it. They painted Joe McQueen tan Joe McQueen. Oh God, Electric Alley on Chemo. Jazz, they play jazz here. We're just talking about the Union Station. I used to ride the Pioneer to Oregon because they let you drink when you was a teenager. I'd ride it to see my Oregon uncle in Portland. You'd drink all night. That was the last train, Union Station. Matt Browning's car collection, they had a leak in there. I was just in there talking to him. So I got hundreds of stories, but nobody's gonna fucking interview me. So Watt and Fawn, this city hates their guts. This city is racist against Asians, hardcore. So is Weber State, hardcore. If you don't believe me, then how come Watt, 2 national champions, first player of color in the history of the NBA? Where's his number retired at Weber State? I talked to Brad Mortensen about this. He agrees with me. Where's Fawn McKay Brody? She's the greatest historian in fucking female, well, probably the greatest historian in American history. Taught right there. 16-year-old female professor when she was how old? In the 30s? Are you kidding? First female dean of history in the history of the fucking country. Racist fucking Ogden. By the way, Peter Steen Ogden never set foot here, and he was a mass murderer. He was in Oregon. So, hottest temperature ever. There's your dissertation for the day. Maybe I can get 112 views. Walking history? Fuck, I'll show you a walking history in Ogden. Every single one of these buildings, every single one of them have my hand in them. Every one of them have my hand in them. Every one of them. The interior walls, I used to work for George Pappas. I have hundreds of stories of here. So, I was working for George right down there where the Earl was. It was a 3-story. It was prostitution. They tore it down. It burnt down. I was plastering that wall, frescoing that wall that they've covered up for George in 1978. Susan should be there today. She's a walking, talking encyclopedia. I'll try to get an interview with her. Susan Cross. Genius. Heard Tony. Genius. Walking, talking 25th. She's the greatest genius in art. No one will even talk to her. So many fucking stories. So many stories. Fucking. Do we have time for this one? Yeah, why not? So, we'll get to that. We'll let it cut it off here. So many great stories, but they won't fucking touch us guys that really fucking know about Ogden. I'll try to get her to do some interviews with me. So, I'm doing the fresco and plastering it. I started plastering. My grandpa was 8 before they required me to learn to trade. By the time I was 16, I already knew how to plaster. I'm 18 years old right here. I'm hanging around with Mayor Dirks. He's wasted all the time, drunk. Love that dude. God, he was fucking great mayor. Love that guy. They all suck now. Godfrey Crook, Caldwell's a piece of shit. So I break my hoe. So a few days later, I'd come to work and there was a dead body laying back there. He'd been beat to death with a hoe. And George had called the cops. The cops came and they threw his body in the coroner's wagon. Didn't even make the paper. That's how much death was here all the time here in Blood, Utah. The El Borracho was a murder every day. Right there, Poncho's on the corner. The old Lucky Slice right there. There's a beautiful fresco and there were bullet holes all over it. Okay. So he says, well, that hoe's still laying back there behind there. I says, fuck, it's a murder weapon. Yeah, so what? Fuck, you know. Cops didn't take it, whatever, use it. Broken pieces. Still had blood on it. I used it for fucking years and years. It's a fucking true story. Go ask George, he's still alive. He's fucking 91. I love that dude. Oh, he got stories on the street. And the story that everybody talks about Capone standing right there with his dad, George's dad. How come you don't move to Ogden? A little too rough for me. Very much true. Fucking Little Chicago, they used to call it. But what a fucking street. What a city. So, fastest of them all. Fucking, there's your goat, motherfuckers. The year of the suns. What a metaphor, right? What a metaphor. What a metaphor. Found the last healthy tide pool. In Blood, Utah. It was still all prostitution and criminal. That side was all black. Fucking, it was fucking cool, the old disco. What a fucking city. I was wild when I was a kid. Nikki Brownie was the girl I hung with in the old Elks that was right there. God, she was so good looking, so wild. And that was my girlfriend. She was they played poker in that fucking basement. And I was a plasterer. I had quite a bit of money, self-made guy when I was a teenager. And I'd play poker with those old fuckers in the middle of the night. She would cheat for me and tell me what they had, because those guys were all over her, those old timers. We'd play all night, throw booze out of the fucking second story window to me. Oh God, her and I. Yeah, she's one of the Browninaires. I got her DNA all over me. Woo, hoo, hoo, hoo. I got some stories. She's a goody two-shoe now. Sure the fuck wasn't then. Oh my God, I love that crazy ass girl. They named the city Brownie. He was a mass murderer who sold to both sides. VR was invented right there. He never made a gun here. There'll be no war profiteering in fucking World War I like there was one World War II. He's looking right at the Brown. He's looking right at Merritt Eccles when FDR gave that speech. In the Masonic Temple, I hung from a rope and restored it. Both Roosevelt's in there all the time. They never made a gun here. In his little shop when they invented it. Murdering, he sold to both sides. Unarguable, fucking the greatest weapon of mass destruction in history until the AK-47 coming along. John Browning. The VAR. Sold to both sides. In World War I and in World War II. And boy, did World War I lose a lot of men in this fucking go to the cemetery. So there's your dissertation on fucking Blood, Utah. Found that in the thrift store today. Hey, while you're down there, the GO.A.T. Hottest temperature in the history of the world reported today. Go Suns. Remember when they passed on Chris Paul? Racist team? Fuck the Jets. Long live fucking Frank Layden. Long live Hot Rod Leonard. Long live Adrian Dantley. Long live Marquis. Long live Ricky Green. Fastest. Long live Sam Battistone. Love that guy. First protest I ever won. I gotta tell this. There used to be a bar right there on the Mint. On 13th and Wall. We weren't old enough to drink, but fuck, you could drink in this town at 14. No one cared. And so we used to take a bus to the Jazz. Battistone raised the prices from $1 to $1.15 for a 16-ounce beer. So me and my friends organized a protest in front of the great old soft house, the greatest arena of them all, asked Larry Bird. I remember Larry Bird fighting fucking Ben Poquette in there. I remember fucking Larry Miller fist fighting fucking some of the players. Fucking George Carl fucking fighting fucking fans. I mean, the place was nuts. That's the way it was. In the name of the great Paul Westphal, we love that dude. So we protested, put signs, the whole works, had a keg on the bus. Not only did he lower prices back down to $1, fucking sent me and my friends over fucking beers and gave us front row fucking tickets in '83, '84 because he remembered that protest the year before, years before. He always gave us it. So he gave us courtside tickets to the first Jazz playoff game in history, me and all my friends. There was no press conference. The bus. Oh, look at this truck. Fuck, my friend Tom Stain used to have that exact truck. What a fucking beauty. You know, Ogden's famous for him. Fucking good old Ogden. So we love Battistone. Fuck. Courtside, $12, right behind the jazz bench. I used to sit with Irving Dean's wife. Dale Griffith's wife. Oh, front of the parking lot, long live Dale Griffith. Fucking now they suck. Stay tuned.